All right, class. Here's a tutorial on getting started in Onshape, especially for this video is kind of the getting started. If you haven't done anything in Onshape yet, this is kind of how to get going. So if you notice in Schoology, we've got this Learn It page. If you're under here 1.2 visualization and solid modeling, under 3D modeling, this kind of gets you started with creating an account. So if you click on this, again, the recommendation is start using a mouse. Really helps in regards to creating your CAD models because you could do a lot of shortcuts with the mouse. So you start off here. Make sure you click on this. You'll create an education account. This is kind of some information. They do want you to make sure you add a website for where you're, what school you're part of. That way you get your license for free. So go ahead and do that. You'll verify your email address and you should be ready to go. Okay, so for us, day one, we're going to get into Onshape and using the Learning Center is kind of the best way to do this. So if you kind of click on this, this is how we'll do this. And then I'll go and jump into evidence number one. So evidence number one is really just a quiz. So when you're in here, you say Onshape Learning Center. This will take you to the instructions. This is also where we'll get information for, it'll probably take you to this. You make sure you just sign in with your account that you potentially just created. And it'll look something like this. So on the left-hand side, you'll see all the videos. And then for your first assignment, you'll be doing this self-check. When you click on that, it says begin self-check. You'll answer a series of questions. When you get to the end of it, there'll be some statement about getting your, maybe I'll just do a quick example. So when you come through here, you're just going to guess on some of these here just to get an example. All right, so again, it kind of tells you what you're missing. So hopefully you can at least get 8 out of 10, just showing that you've gone through here and you know what the correct answer should be. And all right, when you go to see results, again, you should see your final score here as well as your initials over this way. All right, now for the more exciting portion, I'll go ahead and close out of that for now. Okay, so for evidence number two, you'll see that you actually need to go complete an exercise. So again, there's some videos to kind of help you through, but that's what I'm going to kind of try to do for you right now. And when you click on this, it'll say sketch geometry exercise sketch creation. So that's kind of our first one that you have to do inside of Onshape. And in order to actually create this, you're going to go over here to this website. I'll just type it in one more time. So you do cad.onshape.com, right? If you just click on the links there, it'll only take you to the Learning Center. You have to make sure you're logged into cad.onshape.com, and they'll take you to your main homepage here. So for mine, I've got obviously a bunch of parts I've made already, but for yours, it might be kind of empty if it's your first time. And we'll come over here to create. We're going to create your first document. And go ahead and name it. In this case, it's called sketch creation. I'll kind of label it that. And for mine, I'm just going to show this as video tutorial. So we have that. All right. If you're making folders, help stay organized. But for me here, I'm just kind of show you how to get started. Okay, so sketching is really, really important within our Onshape CAD modeling because we're going to use sketches to kind of as the foundation for everything we're going to build around. So the idea of a sketch is imagine you have a piece of paper, you draw a shape out, and then over here we have a bunch of different tools to turn it into three-dimensional objects. Okay, so the sketch is really the foundation of it all. So if you see here, start on the left-hand side, and you hit sketch. So I'm going to make sure we have the instructions up as well so we can get all dimensions. And you see, you click on the next page and it'll kind of tell us what to do. So it says create a new document as we did already. Make sure your workspace length unit is to inches. So I'll make sure I'll double check that. Come over here to the 3 bars menu, workspace unit, and I'm going to go and make sure this is inches. So I'm good right now. Go back to the previous here, and I'm going to sketch on the front plane. Notice you can view normal, meaning look at it straight ahead. Use the N key to kind of go normal. So I'll go ahead and do that. So hit sketch. We're going to click on in this case, it said the front plane. You can click on it here, or you can click on it from the list on the left-hand side. So click front. Notice it's selected now here. And I can either click on it here to look at it straight ahead, or again, use the shortcut letter N. Does the same thing. All right, next up, hit the next slide. I'm going to create a rectangle, make sure the origin is located at the midpoint. There also could be a construction line going straight up and down this way. All right, so I've got corner rectangle, start here. Notice that I'm going to line it up to the origin, make sure it's vertical. I can see the little hint there. And I'm just going to generally make the shape for now because I can always add more later. Next, I'm going to create a line. And notice I want that to be a construction line. So I hit that. And remember, look, as you hover over, it'll tell you what it is. Also, it gives you the letter, in this case, letter Q as a shortcut if you wanted to use that. All right, so I'm going to draw that line. And notice it didn't make it a construction line, so I'm going to select it again. And I can click on that right there. And now it's a dotted line. Okay, the other thing it told us to do was make the origin a midpoint. So again, a bunch of constraints here. Click midpoint. If you have a hard time finding a tool, go ahead and use the search bar. You can just type it in. In this case, for example, midpoint helps me find it. And the way this is going to work is, oops, I don't know if I selected it. Let me try to make sure. I'm going to have this point be the midpoint of this line. Okay, you can kind of see how that kind of locked itself in there. Let's keep it moving. Next up, I'm going to create this shape. So got the rectangle already. I have a couple lines to make that shape. And then also I've got the 3-point arc to create down here. Notice that I want the arc to be tangent to the vertical sides of the rectangle. And again, this is going to be the midpoint of that line. So let's go ahead and keep things cruising here. I'll start off by making this shape. Again, I can use this as a reference, drag it out, and finish up that top portion. And make sure that this is the midpoint of this line. That. And then the 3-point arc is over here. Click on this point, drag this out. And I do want that middle. See if, as you can see here, that middle lock there. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, so far so good. Next up, step 4, I'm going to create a circle. Change the 2 horizontal lines there to construction lines. All right. So I'm going to find circle, make sure it's on the origin. Notice that the box turned, or the dot turned to a square around it. That means I'm locked in. I'm going to generally make the circle. We'll add dimensions to it later. And then it said I wanted this to be a construction line. Oops. Hit escape to move out of a tool. Q to construction line. I want this to be a construction line. And I want this to be a construction line. All right, so it's kind of coming along here. Next, slide 5. Sketch these 3 lines to make the keyhole. Make sure that those are vertical and equal. All right, so I'll come over here. Line. Gonna make sure I hover over the circle. Straight line. Okay, notice that I'm gonna have it drag it straight up like that. Come across. Make it horizontal. Come down. Make it vertical and coincident. So it's touching the circle. Hit escape to get out of the key. And then the other thing it told me to do is make sure that equal, so that's an equal constraint. I want to make sure this one and this one are both equal. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Step 6, I'm going to use the dimension tool. So the dimension tool is right over here. Again, you can hit the letter D to go to dimension. So I'm going to do that. And let's see what I have to do. So the height from this middle origin or this construction line to that construction line is 2.5. Let's go and do that first. Click on both of those, 2.5. I see that's creating that shape now. Next up, 3.5 from the top to that line. Drag it over to the side, 3.5. I type it in, hit enter. And we also know this is 7.75, and then the height of it's 1.25. Okay, so I can just click on that. This is 0.75. And then from here to here, this was 1.25. All right, so I got all those dimensions in. Next, we got a few more. The circle is a diameter of 2. The arc is a radius of 2. Perfect. So again, I'm on the dimension tool. Click on the circle. Drag it over. The diameter was 2. And then this arc, click on that. Pull it over. Radius was 2. Right, and notice that a lot of these lines are turning black. That means it's constrained. That's what we want to see. So again, anytime you're creating a sketch, you want things constrained. That means they're all locked into place. That way they don't start moving around if you move other things, and they'll move proportional to each other. Right, so compared to right now, you see this blue line. If I click on this blue line, I can still move this around. Well, if I can't move any of these black lines. All right, so it looks like I'm missing still one more dimension. Come over here to step 8, and it is the angle. In order to do an angle, I want to click on 2 lines. So dimension, I'm going to click on this top line, click on the line that's diagonal, and notice it's an angle now, and I'm going to drag it over to this side, click, and then turn that into 45 degree. All right, got everything is constrained. It's black now. Next slide, the final thing I'm going to do is check the area. So check the sketch, hover over it. I should be able to highlight all this, and the area should be 15.936 inches squared. Once I've got that, I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Make sure you show your name in the top right-hand corner with the area shown, and you should be all set. There is exercise number 2 complete.